Hi Aries, this is Tish Aitken, and this is your monthly report for the month of May. You begin the month with a lot of focus around income and how you can be practical with your finances and how you can be creative and add value to your life, because there are 3 planets transiting in the fixed earth sign of Taurus in your house of possessions and income and what you value. On May 2nd, Mercury forms a beautiful trine to Pluto, which is transiting in your house of career and life goals. Pluto stationed retrograde on April 27th, and I'm sure you felt that energy at the very end of April. Pluto can bring major beginnings and endings and changes in our life, and for you, this is in your house of life goals and professional achievement. On May 2nd, this gives an opportunity to bring things to form in communication. On May 3rd, Mercury squares Jupiter early in the day and aggrandizes all the communication and thinking and learning that you'll be doing in the next couple of months, because later that day, Mercury enters the mutable air sign of Gemini, and it'll be transiting there until July 11th. And Mercury is in its dignity in Gemini. It's a lot of communication and networking and sales and commerce and travel. And for you, it's in your 3rd house of local community. It's an excellent time for taking workshops and classes. If you're single, it's excellent for expanding your social circle and meeting people. This is a big emphasis for you anyway, because in the age of Aquarius, Saturn's transiting in your house of friends and groups until March of 2023. Jupiter, the planet of abundance and expansion, is in your house of friends and groups and networks on and off until the end of the year. So this is a huge theme for you. And now all of this Gemini energy as we go into the month will bring this to another level. On May 3rd, Mercury entering Gemini is bringing a big shift with that, and a lot around communication in so many different ways, because we're also going to have eclipses starting at the end of the month in the Sagittarius Gemini axis, which deals a lot with communication, and Mercury will be in Gemini the entire time for these eclipses, so we can expect a lot of information getting uncovered. On the day that Mercury enters Gemini, the Sun squares Saturn in the sky, and that's also a reality check of how you can expand, but with practicality. On May 6th, we have a beautiful aspect. Venus is still in her dignity in Taurus, in your house of value, forming a beautiful trine to Pluto, the planet of transformation. This is excellent for love and money, any goals of something you want to create. On that same day, Saturn sextiles Chiron, the wounded healer, and this is good for doing healing work. Really nice energy on May 6th. On May 8th, Venus enters Gemini in your house of communication and connecting and networking, and it'll be there until June 2nd. So a lot more energy around socializing, and you like to socialize generally anyway. So a lot of energy to get out there, travel, get in your local community, and learn and teach. Get out there, okay? On May 11th, there's a new moon that takes place at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 21 degrees and 18 minutes of the fixed earth sign of Taurus. And this new moon falls in your house of income and what you value. The moon is exalted in Taurus. It's a very beautiful placement, very creative and fertile and imaginative. And this new moon forms a beautiful angle to Pluto, the planet of transformation. If you look back to April, there was a very manifesting new moon, but in the new moon chart, both the new moon and Venus squared Pluto, which means letting go and purging in order to achieve what you want to accomplish. In this new moon chart, the sun and moon are working in harmony with Pluto, which makes it a lot easier. Mars does square Chiron, the wounded healer, so that can emphasize the wounds that we all need to work on. And for you, Chiron is transiting in your sign in the house of self, and Mars is transiting in your house of home and security and emotional foundation. So it could dig up some wounds, but Mars is also working in harmony with Uranus, which is transiting in Taurus, and that can bring innovative solutions to problems that might arise. On May 12th, let's see, Mercury forms a trine to Saturn, and that's excellent for communication and getting things accomplished, good for networking. On that day, the Sun forms a sextile to Neptune, which is very creative energy. On May 16th, we have, May 17th rather, sorry, we have the Sun trining Pluto in the sky, and that's really good for getting things accomplished. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that on May 13th, Jupiter is entering the sign of Pisces. I've been waiting to say this for forever and just forgot that fact. So on May 13th, Jupiter is actually entering the sign it rules by ancient astrology, and it's going to be there until July 29th. It's only going to get as far as 2 degrees of Pisces, but this is so creative and compassionate and loving, and for you, Jupiter will be transiting temporarily in your house of the imagination. This is excellent for doing creative work. If you're planning on going to a spiritual retreat, this would be phenomenal. If you're working on a creative project, anything with music, Jupiter in Pisces is going to be so great for all of the artists and musicians that are having trouble connecting in this new time and finding ways to be creative. And in the Aquarian theme, this is so focused and centered on community. And now Jupiter in Pisces is going to bring such a creative and loving tone for all of us. So that's really exciting, okay? On May 20th, the Sun enters the sign of Gemini, where it'll be until June 20th when we have the summer solstice. So now we've got 3 planets transiting in your local neighborhood, getting involved, getting out there, hopefully being social and learning and also sharing your information. This is a time for learning and sharing information in all forms. On May 21st, the Sun squares Jupiter in the sky, and that could bring a lot of activity, a lot of connection and communication. On May 22nd, Mercury squares Neptune in the sky, and that could be a bit challenging with communication or getting things done. On May 23rd, Saturn stations retrograde. So now we have another outer planet stationing retrograde at 13 degrees of the fixed air sign of Aquarius. And we feel that 5 days before and 5 days after. That's as far as Saturn is going to get this year. And this is in your house of friends and networking and groups. Saturn is going to square Uranus later in the middle of June, which, can bring upheaval and, throw us all off a little bit. We had one square occur on February 17th, and that was the day of the power outage in Texas. Sorry. And now, whatever we're expecting, it could be some twists and turns, and it's going to be after the eclipses. So we know that Saturn is going to form some challenging influences, but it's also in Aquarius, which it rules in ancient astrology. So really getting clear on the people with whom you want to connect. If you're trying to learn more about metaphysics or finding tools to deal with this very fast-moving world, which we're all trying to do, Saturn and Jupiter, well, Jupiter won't be in Aquarius for a little while, but Saturn in Aquarius is an excellent time for doing so. And Jupiter moving back from Aquarius into Pisces and back into Aquarius is also excellent for learning how to deal with manifesting and different tools in metaphysics. And I've never seen Jupiter transit an entire sign and then go to the next sign for a couple of months. So I think this is very exciting and I think needed in the new age of Aquarius, to have some Jupiter and Pisces energy to slow us down a little bit, to connect through compassion, and very much through creativity and intuition. On May 26th, we have a full moon eclipse that takes place at 7:14 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 5 degrees and 26 minutes of the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius. And for you, this is falling in your house of hopes and manifesting and travel and higher education. Maybe you're thinking of going back to school. Maybe you're doing some travel this summer. Sagittarius is a fellow fire sign, very harmonious with yours. So that will bring a lot of information, and that could bring things to fruition on what you've been working on. But realistically, the end of May is going to be intense because we have Saturn stationing retrograde. We have the lunar eclipse, which whatever you expect, eclipses are wild cards. You know it's going to bring heightened energy and a lot of things going on, a lot of major beginnings and endings and moves, new relationships, breakups. Those are always themes with eclipses, but it will be a very wacky time and a very busy time with Mercury and Gemini, I feel, in the midst of this. And on May 29th, Mercury meets up with Chiron, the wounded healer. And this gives us all an opportunity to focus on the wounds, to do healing work. But later that day, Mercury will retrograde at 24 degrees and 48 minutes of the mutable air sign of Gemini in your house of communication. Expect for a lot of people from your past to be resurfacing, with Saturn retrograding in your house of friends, Mercury retrograding in Gemini in your house of communication, the eclipses in the Sagittarius, Gemini axis. You're going to be really busy and hear from a lot of different people. On May 31st, Mars trines Neptune, and that's very creative energy. May is going to be, I think, a very exciting month, a lot happening, very social month for you, lots of information with Mercury in Gemini for a couple of months. Excellent placement of Mercury, but again, we can go in so many different directions. So I wish you all a lot of luck. Thank you, Aries, and take care.